In the last class, we did an example where we worked with this detail component and the related list component, right? And to do that, we were actually using the page block sections. We saw how we can actually use the page block section to work with these components, right? Today we are going to do the same example, but this time we are going to do it with tabs. Okay, we are going to display the same related list and detail, but now with the help of tabs. So all that we have to do is create a page first. Okay, so we are going to do the same example, uh, the same kind of a page with account details as well as the related list, but this time we are going to do it with the help of tabs. In case you don't want the related lists to come below the detail thing, you just want some tabs so that the end user can quickly switch between the tabs and see different related lists. Okay, then you can use tabs. Let me put a page block, put a title here. This title can be and this can be using tabs in Visualforce. Okay, so before you can start creating tabs, all that you have to do is you have to bring one more component which is called a tab panel. Okay, so this tab panel is the component inside which you can put multiple tabs. Okay, so this is the first tab, let's say. This way you can put multiple tabs inside the tab panel. Okay, now for the tab you have to give a label, what exactly you want to display on the tab. Now the tab label can be okay, account details. See, the tab has got created with the label account details, correct? Same way, if you want, you can create a tab for contacts. Put a label called contacts. Okay, accounts and contacts. Now, the only thing that I have to do is you have to define what do you want to see within the tab. The tab you have started, you have put a tab label. So what exactly you want to see in the tab, that needs to be defined within the tab components. Okay, so inside this you have to define what data you want to see there. It's pretty simple. I want the detail component to come here with no related list, and no title. That's what I want. Okay. Inside the contacts tab, I just want the related list called contact to come here, and the list name here will be contacts. Let me get an ID. See, okay, let me create tabs for other related lists also. I've created one for account, one for contact. Let me create for other related lists also. So we will create one for cases the same way. Apex tab, label can be cases, Apex. And one more for opportunities. That's it. Okay, now we have the tabs. We can go from account details to contacts, cases. The same thing is happening, but when you do it through a page block section, all the sections are visible at once, and that is something which makes the page a little longer, right? So the user will need to scroll down the page to view the different related list. In this case, we are dealing with the tabs instead. Okay, so the end user just needs to click on the tab to view the related list, or it can be anything, whatever. So this is basically how the tabs are created. All right. So to create the tabs, all that you need to do is you just need to go ahead and create this tab panel first, and inside the tab panel you'll have to create the tabs. Okay. And for, let me also do a uniform width of all these tabs. So there is one more attribute here called label width. If you want, you can fix it to certain amount, 250 pixels, so that all of them look same. Here it is. Alright, are we okay on how these tabs are working? Okay, so if you are okay with the tab concept, there is just one small thing that I would want you to understand here. See, usually when you have this tab kind of an interface, all that you need to do is you need to, when someone is switching from one tab to the other, all that you need to refresh is this part, right? Because the sidebar is fixed, there's nothing changing on it. The header is also fixed, correct? So all that we need to do is we just need to make sure that we are updating or we see when I'm switching from one tab to other. If you guys look at here while I'm changing the tab, you'll see the complete page is getting reloaded. You see this? Okay, which is actually not required because for me only the changes are happening here. Correct? Nothing is changing in the header, nothing is changing in the sidebar. Only the data or the view is changing here, right? So for that I can use one more attribute in the tab panel. Right now I've not used any attribute, so by default what it is doing, by default it's reloading the complete page. The entire page is getting rendered, and as a result this makes our system a little slow. Fine. If I don't want that to happen, then what I should do? There is an attribute here in tab panel which is called switch type, and you should make it AJAX. So switch type equals AJAX will basically make sure that only this part is getting rendered when you switch from one tab to the other tab. See, now if you look here while I'm changing the tab, you'll see the page is not getting reloaded. Only this section gets refreshed, right? As a result, you see that this is a lot faster than the earlier one. Fine. So it's a good practice if you're using a tab. It's a good practice that you um, refresh this part only, the tab part, or try to keep the switch type equals Ajax until and unless you require it the other way, right? If you feel that there are some updates which need to happen or certain things need to get updated in the sidebar or the URL as well, then the entire page should get reloaded. Otherwise, only the tab section should get reloaded. Correct? Okay. Now come to the next thing. So far we have been working with displaying the data on the Visualforce pages, right? What if I want my end user to be able to edit the data as well? My end user wants to edit the data on the Visualforce page. Okay, how will that thing happen? How will the end user edit the data on the Visualforce page? So for that I will need to include input field components where you can actually do the input also. The user can do the input also. So there is this component called input field component which we are going to use, okay, on the Visualforce page. How do you do that? Let's create a new page. Okay, so Apex page standard controller account. Okay, let me create it this way. Let me create a page block and name it show data. Okay, there is one more component which is called an output field component. This output field component is displays the data in a read-only format, which cannot be edited. Okay, it's a read-only kind of a format. And in output field component, you have to define the value. So value should be the field name basically. So from which field you basically want to pick the data. Account dot name. Okay. So if I take the account ID and supply it here, question mark ID equals. See, okay. So output field component is pretty much similar to the way we were displaying data. This same thing you can do without any component also. This is what we have done earlier. So output, the result is almost gonna be same. But if you use the output field component inside a page block section, you put it inside a page block section. Then you will see that output field can automatically get the label from that particular field, right? So that's a good thing. If I want to use output field for one more field value, account dot industry. Okay. Now, why does the second value go this side? What is the logic? If I make a third entry, where will the value come? If I make a third entry, which side it will
Because
go?
we dimension the columns.
Okay, so you did not mention. So by default, there are how many columns? Two, correct? So the first one goes into the left hand side and the second one goes into the right hand side. If I just want them to be displayed in one line, then if I want all of them to be in one particular line or in one column, then
We have to specify columns equal to 1.
the same thing that we did yesterday also, number of columns controlling. Okay. So whatever number of columns you need, you can actually define that. In this case, I need one, so I've given one column. So let me go ahead and type whole facts. Okay. So this is the section where I'm just displaying the data. So displaying data is anyhow something which we have been doing. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to edit the data. So let me create a page block table, page block, title it, edit data, it's page block section if you use. this in columns equals 1, apex input field value account dot name okay. Now whenever you try to use an input field component, this input field
The account
component,
spelling mistake.
where?
Account spelling.
Okay. Correct, thank you. Now, whenever you are trying to use this input field component always should appear between the apex form tag. Okay. So there is this apex form tag. Any input component, input field, button, link, they should appear always within the form tag. Okay. So I'll have to put this input field components inside the form tag. So you can actually put the form tag here, apex form. I start it here and end it exactly at the end of this code, just before the page ends. I mean it, right? So now all the input field components have been included in the form tag. So that's fine. Now we have used two different types of components. Output field is for just displaying the read-only data. Input field is where you can edit the data. See? And the good thing about the input field component is that it will automatically pick the data type of the field and give you the editor as required. Like if it's a pick list field, it will give you pick list. So it's not that it will give you the text field every time. If it's a pick list, it will give you a pick list. If it's a date field, it will give you a date picker. If it's yeah, so if it's a number or currency or anything else, it will exactly pick the data type of that field and accordingly give you the field type here. All right, correct. Now you can make changes here. Text style instead of call. If you just want to change it like this. So whatever you want to change, you can change. Correct. So, but whatever we are changing here is not actually getting saved in the database. This is just on the user interface, right? To make changes on this, we'll have to perform some action. But before we do that, before we start talking about, how these changes can be committed to the database, before I start talking about that, we'll do a small activity. So I want you to create the same page, the same kind of a page for opportunity. Okay. So then let's quickly do this hands on. For opportunity, I want you to create exactly the same page with two page blocks, show data, edit data, and the fields that need to be displayed are name, amount, close date, stage, name, amount, close date, stage, and yeah, let it be. So let it have four. All right. I'm putting it in the chat window also. The field names. I'll be displaying the code on the screen for your reference. exactly the same kind of a page for opportunity. There it is. And these are the fields that we are talking about. I put them in the chat window. Okay, let's quickly do it and let me know once you're done. 5 minutes to finish it off, right? Whatever you have created, the code that we have written is allowing us to make the changes on the user interface, right? Now this needs to be changed in the database as well. To do that, you need to perform an action. Okay, so there, because this is a standard controller, again you don't have the option to define your own actions. You'll have to work with the standard actions which are available there. All right, so we have a standard action which is called save. Okay, predefined action save, which is used with the Salesforce default, or the the default pages of salesforce.com. The save action, when you use this, it will save the record and take you to the standard detail page of the record. So, and how do you call this action? To call this action, you need another component called a command button. So let me just go and get the command button component. The command button component also needs to come inside the Apex form component. So let me keep it inside it. Apex command button. Okay. This command button component has two attributes. One is value and the other is action. Okay. Value is where you define what exactly you want to see on the top of the button, a label of the button kind of thing. Okay. So you can say anything, save date now. So this is basically the label. Whatever you want to put here, you can put. Action is the actual action which you want to perform. So as I told you, save is a default action, predefined action. You can just use this action like this. But while you're writing the action, you have to make sure that you write it in this formula kind of expression. Okay, within curly brackets, exclamation mark, save. That's it. Now this button will perform the save operation. So let's say I want to change the phone number here. I want to make it 9876. I also want to change the fax number. Okay. Now whatever you have changed here has not got saved into the database yet. To do that, you have to click on the button. Click on save. Do you see the phone number and the fax number have got updated? Alright. And also if you notice, once you click on the save button, you are taken out of the Visualforce page and you land up on this standard detail page of the record. Correct? So that's what your save button does. Now sometimes you might not want to move to the standard detail page. Sometimes you might want to save the changes and stay on the same Visualforce page. So my save button in this case, the save button is doing two things. One, it saves the changes. Secondly, it takes you to the standard detail page. It comes out of the Visualforce page, takes you to the standard detail page, right? That's what the action of the save button is. But if you want to save the changes and continue to stay on the same page, then there is another action which is called a quick save. Okay, so if you use quick save action, it will change, make the changes in the database, and it will keep you on the same Visualforce page. You can continue to be on the same Visualforce page for any further editings. So let me go and add one more button here. AJAX command button, value, save and stay on this page. This is just a label, you don't have to write this entire long story here. Just written it for your understanding. Action has to be quick save. That's fixed. Okay. Okay, so now in case you just make a small change here, instead of industry apparel, I want to make it communication, let's say. If I do a quick save, this is the quick save, right? If you do a quick save, changes get saved. See, industry has got updated to communication, but you continue to stay on the same page. You are on the same Visualforce page. Okay, but if you do a save, then let me make it prospect. Do a save. The changes get saved, and you land up on the standard detail page of the record. Industry has got updated, but you come out of that page, right? So depending on your requirement, how do you actually want your user to perform the save, whether he should, after saving, whether he should just stay on the same page, or you want him to actually come out of that page and move it to the standard detail page of the account. Depending on that, you will decide whether you need a save or quick save. Clear? Okay. Now, just like the command button component, there is another component which is called a command link. The way you see this command button component, which is used for calling the actions, there is another component which is called a command link. AJAX command link. Okay. The functionality wise, command link is exactly same as a command button. Only the look and feel of a link and a button are different. Okay. So you can put a value, save it now, and then we can put an action, save, AJAX colon value, and stay on this page. So I've created two command links with exactly the same values. And actions. Now just have a look onto this. Let me put a line break here, and cannot word. Okay, so the save it now command link, it has the same action, the save action. It will perform exactly the way this save it now button works, and this button and this link are going to perform exactly the same way. So functionality wise there is no difference, only look and feel wise there is different, right? So this looks like a link and this looks like a button. So that also should be your requirement, whether you want to display uh, the action component as a link or as a button. Fine, that has to be a call that you have to make. All right, so the command link, command button, save, quick save, these things are okay. You're okay with it when the action is being called. Now there is just one small thing that you need to look into. Okay, let me create one more page here. Just copy this entire page. A10, we will go to A11. Okay, let me take the account ID. Okay, so we have seen how do we use a command button here, right? Alright, so instead of using the command button like this, you can also put your command buttons into a page block button. Value can be save now, option can be save. Okay, what does it do? Should be direct. Okay, this page block buttons has to be direct child of the page block. It has to be directly under the page block. So that's fine. Okay, see, if you put a page block button inside a page block, okay, then if you create one command button, that one button will appear at the top as well as at the bottom. Got it? So that is the advantage. So most of the times in Salesforce standard pages, you will find this, that the buttons appear at the top as well as bottom. See, that's the standard way Salesforce displays buttons. The same button gets repeated, right? So if you need that sort of thing, you don't have to create two button components. You don't have to create two command button components. You can just use the page block button. Fine. So the page block button will automatically display the button right at the top of the page and at the bottom, top of the block as well as at the bottom of the block, not top of the page. Okay. So that's what it does. In case you are dealing with a record or a page which is quite lengthy and you feel that the end user might find it difficult to make the entries till the end and then go back at the top to do a save or something like that, then you can use this, right? So any button or any link that you put inside this page block button will appear at the top of the page block and at the bottom of the page block. That's how it works. All right. So this is more of a look and feel factor that you need to see if you want to use for your client or not. So ultimately, that's about the save buttons and the action buttons that we have talked about. Now, that's what we have to discuss for today. Once we meet tomorrow, we are gonna start talking about list of records. So far we have been dealing with one record, displaying one record, right? So in tomorrow's session, we will start talking about list of records, how to handle multiple records and display them on one page, right? So that will be starting off the second type of controller, standard list controller.